So I got this question, does passion come from the limbic system? And this person, actually, his name is Ahmed. He lives in Dubai. Great guy, deep thinker. And so he asked two questions. That was one of them, and we'll get into that. And so I thought we'd answer these questions in the framework of asking the questions to life's answers about awakening marriage and mental health. So
Is
what
it
do you
going
think
to
about
feel
that?
like a massage for your brain?
Well, we get it's amazing because we get these comments from our videos, and we really appreciate it. We love them, but the questions people ask are right on target. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're very important questions.
Super,
So
super cool.
this person asked two questions, and the first question is, I have a question that touches on passion. Would that mean our desires are coming from the limbic brain, resulting to the fact that desires are really not my desires? Would that mean I'm not to follow those desires? And how would
Mm-hmm.
that fit with following your passion?
Wow. Thank you for those
And so I thought,
questions.
it just completely blew me away because I had
Yeah.
honestly never thought, when you and I started this YouTube channel, I mean, you even commented, I've got an enormous amount of passion for it.
Yeah.
And so I had to think this through. It was like, there's something going on here, and let's find out what it is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what he is referencing, first of all.
Okay. Yeah.
He's talking about the limbic system. We've talked about the limbic system extensively on many videos, and I'm going to link some videos to the end of this. But the limbic system, and you can see in the diagram, it's the red thing there, and the green is the amygdala, which is very important. And so the limbic system is fight or flight, anger, fear. It's the part of the brain we share with other animals, so it's all about survival. And all
Mm-hmm.
emotions come from the limbic system, as does passion. And it's completely wired up by the time we're 5 years of age. And so, specifically, passion comes from the amygdala. And the amygdala is like Grand Central Station for fight or flight. It plays an
Mm-hmm.
important role in passion, in emotional processing, particular in relation to motivation and reward.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started to think about this, he asked the question, does that really mean that desires are really not my desires? Which was very interesting, which brings in the whole notion of, who is this me that's experiencing this?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it's such a compelling question. I like my head is spinning with my own guesses at what your answers will be, but I'm really excited for you to take me on the journey.
Well, give me a guess. Where did your head go? That's very interesting.
Okay, if I had to guess and lay it all out there, I would say that it could just be incidental when your limbic system has a passion that your higher brain agrees with. My other guess is that, oh shoot, what was it? Uh, oh, like, why is this a need for you? And maybe like using that as a clue to step yourself backwards into what need are you filling or
Okay.
desire for a good thing. I think that's where I started, and I'm curious to see what else could be said, whether it's all or none of what I said.
Well, it's all of what you said, and then I took it in a little different direction.
So you're
But
telling
if
me that if I just listen to you long enough, I can understand the stuff that you're trying to tell me in this channel?
that's not what I'm telling
Huh. You know, it has made my life a lot better. So maybe I'll just keep listening to what you have to
you.
say, Mark.
No, I agree with everything you said.
Ah, nice. Okay.
However, there's a little twist to this that I
Okay.
because it took me about a day to get my head really wrapped around this, so I knew what the heck where I wanted to go with it, because I have to be consistent with what I believe,
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
I had to get it in some kind of a bucket that I could understand here.
Mm-hmm.
And so you notice how the heading here is disidentification.
Yes.
So let's go to the next step here. So the answer is no, they are your desires. You experience desires, passions, thoughts, perception, but here's the key. That's not what you are made of.
Okay.
You're experiencing them, but that's not what
Mm-hmm.
you are made of. So
Mm-hmm.
you experience desire, but you're not made of desire. You experience passion, but you're not made of passion.
Mm.
You are the experiencer or the knower of thoughts, feelings, perception, passion, and desires.
So it's what you experience, but it's not who you are.
Correct.
Great
Correct.
delineation.
So, so
Very good.
the idea here is, here was my answer to him,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I've done what I've always done. I've squeezed too many words on a slide.
It's what we know and love about you, Mark.
I know. I can't help myself. Oh,
No, just put all the text up there.
by the way, before I do that, this is our channel Mastering Thought about the mind, marriage, and mental health. And this is my sidekick, Christina Black.
Hello.
And here was my answer that I put in the comments.
Yeah.
So does that look too busy?
Well, let's see. Do you want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Desires and passion definitely come from the limbic system, more specifically the amygdala. But you can certainly follow your passion, but the point is that you are not passion. You are not sadness. You are not thoughts or perceptions. You are not your mental or emotional activity. You experience all of these things. Therefore, you are the knower of passion, the experiencer of emotion. You are free to fully embrace passion without identifying with it. So follow your passion. It's your choice to go on that ride. Boom.
Boom.
Wow.
So one of the purposes of
Mm-hmm.
the channel is to discover who we really are. And as you know from all the discussions we've had, is one of the basic tenets here is you are not your thoughts.
Right.
You are not the voice in your head that sounds like you talking to you.
Right.
And so you experience thoughts, but you're not made of thoughts. And passion is a cluster of thoughts that comes with emotion,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. It's part of the human experience. That's part of what we're here to explore.
Yeah.
But we are the experiencer of passion. We are the
Right.
experiencer of the emotion, but we are not the emotion itself.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to the question. He asked the question, would that fit with following your passion? Of course, you can follow your love, follow your passion, follow your heart. But being in this position where you are the experiencer gives you more power and more choice to fully embrace that without losing yourself in it.
Mm.
What do you think of my answer?
I think it's really helpful. Um, sometimes well, oftentimes without help, we're just like kind of doomed to
Hmm.
have certain misbeliefs about who we are. And that can get really wrapped up in, or that can get us really wrapped up in things that aren't helpful, I guess.
Well, you're
So,
raising
like,
it. Go ahead.
oh, well, so for instance, at one point I was interested in the topic of conversation about how it can be easy for people to collapse the differences in acceptance and approval, and that you can accept something that you don't approve of. And part of that was about like how uh people can take that with their identity. If they say I am this or I am that,
Right.
and you don't show approval, they will feel like they're not accepted. And so I'm like fascinated by when words have slightly different meanings but entirely different impacts. And so, or like the concept of that. So just me being the experiencer of my personal experience, this life that I'm in, uh, it reminds me not to get too wrapped up in maybe clinging too hard to something that is momentary and isn't truly revealing my nature.
I
Yeah.
like everything you said. That's
Thanks.
very clear. Ahmed, when he read my response, wrote back and he said that was extremely freeing. It just blew him away.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing too, is like maybe when we identify with the wrong things, it adds a certain amount of tension into our lives.
Right.
And so by being very clear about what you are not, you might be limiting how much tension you experience
Well, the other
or
thing it
reducing.
does is it gives you a very clear view of what your motives are.
Yes,
And
true.
so passion is
Yeah.
great, but if it's passion leads to destructive behavior or things that hurt other
Right.
people,
Terrorism is passion. Like for
yeah,
real.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. All
Very
right, let's move.
passionate.
Let's move to the next question. The next question was extremely insightful, but on a very different topic. And are we ready to move on or not?
I feel good.
Okay.
I
All
would
right.
say too, if anybody had curiosities, they were hoping we'd say something more about it, please leave a comment, and maybe there's more conversation that should be had.
Well, and I do, and I maybe the two of us live in our own little bubble here, and sometimes we think we understand something, and
Yeah.
somebody who's listening to us may have a completely different take and needs clarification, and
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
we certainly welcome
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's question number 2. So this, I thought this was very interesting. The owner of our company is always shouting and being aggressive in the office, never toward me, which is nice. But I
Mm-hmm.
felt so on edge because of it and realized this is the same environment I had when I was a child at home. Very
Oh, yeah,
smart observation.
totally. And he even said he's a unicorn next. Wow, cool.
Right.
Okay.
He says, as a unicorn, and we're going to discuss that briefly, what that is. I'm clearly feeling on edge and claustrophobic in the office in that environment. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's see what he's talking about unicorns. So, my model of relationships is called the dance of the lion and the unicorn, and you can see that we all need a defense against our pain because we don't want to feel our pain, and the
Right.
lion's pain is a feeling that nobody cares or they're not good enough, and that makes them angry. Unicorns' emotional pain is anxiety or fear.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
don't like conflict, and so they
Right.
avoid conflict. So if you go back to this, here's the owner of the company yelling and screaming.
Totally. Yeah, throwing him like close to, yeah, a fight or flight
Exactly,
possibility. Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And
He's
so,
like just hoping he doesn't cross over the edge each day, I bet.
so Ahmed is a unicorn, so that's triggering him with anxiety, and he wants to
Yeah.
get out of there. It makes him feel like he's trapped. He's claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here was his question. This,
Oh, wow.
yes,
Ahmed. Kudos, man.
would a lion in my position thrive in this environment? And so he's looking over here and he's seeing that lions are angry. And so we might really, if we're lions, we might really relate to the screaming, yelling boss. And here was my answer. So, first of all, a lion would feel triggered and shamed by the boss.
Mm-hmm.
if they were triggered. Now, since
Yeah.
the boss might not be directing the anger at them, they might not be triggered. But
Right.
if they were triggered, then they would feel viewed as not good enough, criticized, and attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas the unicorn feels claustrophobic and wants to get out of there because they want to avoid conflict, the lion would take it personally and feel criticized, put down, etc., etc.
Rejected. Yeah.
There's the word I was missing, rejected. Okay. All right. So that was my answer to that question.
Great
So
answer.
the next question was, this environment at work started changing about 6 months ago when the owner became more involved in the business. So is there a reason for the sudden shift? What a tremendous question.
Yeah.
And so here was my answer, and we'll discuss this a little bit. You notice how I've got the catchy titles, answer to be?
Very organized. We'll never
Yeah, I
wonder where
know.
they were in the
I
file
know.
box.
I got so anal about this that I can hardly understand what I program my buttons for here. So 6 months ago, when the boss showed up, your limbic system identified him as the parent that he referred to in the introduction, and that's when this emerged for you. Did you attract this? We could look at this in a way saying that, okay, here's Ahmed, he's talking to me, he's discovering all these things, and then all of a sudden the boss shows up and he starts to
Yeah.
put two and two together. So at
Really
some
deep thinker.
metaphysical level, perhaps, he had attracted this. We could
Right.
postulate that that was true. However, did you attract this? I say, I'm sure your energy did not shift. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, suddenly he didn't say, oh, I need an abusive boss, so here he is.
Yeah.
This just uncovered your issue that had been there all along.
Mm-hmm. It was just happened to be the time that it manifested.
Right. And so what happened was,
Yeah.
here he was raised in this stressful environment that he references. He says halfway through this, I felt on edge because of it. I realized this is the same environment that I was in as a child.
Yeah.
Okay, so his limbic system was programmed to deal with this sort of stress of somebody yelling and screaming, being aggressive. We don't know exactly what form that took, but he basically has, he's matched the two things up here,
Mm-hmm.
his childhood and the work situation. So when that happened, the limbic system got activated and identified the boss as the parent.
Right. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these feelings and defensive strategies came up from that early childhood emotional learning.
Yeah. Which I know comes with discomfort, but there's so much rich learning opportunity in my life when I've gone back to like looking at what was going on as a kid and then, maybe why I react the way I do to things now. It has given me a refreshed memory about what it was like to be young.
So you have predicted exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, that's cool. I love getting therapeutic. That's why. It's like this isn't therapy, but like in massage, when I do massage or craniosacral work, it's like uh yeah, you're excited when you get to see the problem and then like
Right.
see them not have it as much anymore.
Well, what's exciting is when you see the cause and effect. When you see it, the
There you
landscape
go.
is right. It's right there in front of you, and you realize, oh, this is happening because of this. Okay, that makes
Yeah, concisely
perfect
said.
sense.
Yeah.
All right, so 6 months ago, when the boss showed up, your limbic system identified him as the parent, and that's when this emerged. Inside. Now, Let me just say something about this. This is happening in the work environment. This thing we're talking about here is exactly what happens in a marriage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Or not even in a marriage, in a close, committed, emotionally close relationship.
Like a deep, meaningful relationship.
Yeah. And so let's say we have a couple and they're dating and everything's great, and then they move in together. And within 2 or 3 months of moving in together, all this baggage starts suddenly emerging. And it's
Yeah.
because the limbic system has now been activated and it's acting as if the other person is the parent from their past.
Mm-hmm. And that's like all about survival, right? And so I
Exactly.
can see how your boss and your income and all that stuff would like really trigger a deep survival part in you.
Exactly. All
Yeah.
right. So finally, other than this realization, he's asking, is there anything I can do to let go of this energy or dynamic? And this is where we circle back to what you said a minute ago. So he wants to know how to
Uh-huh.
solve the problem.
Yeah.
And
I
this is
think
what
that
I
makes
told
sense.
him. Every time you react to the boss, ask yourself, what does this have to do with my parent? Don't try to answer the question, just let it hang in the air and let your non-conscious mind serve up the answer so you can connect the dots, which is exactly what you said a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
This will lead to an aha moment where the association your limbic system is making will lead bare as it is happening. I didn't say that right. Will lay bare as it is happening. So
Mm-hmm.
what's happening is
Right.
that you ask the question, how does this relate to my mother or my father? Sometimes you don't
Right.
know, so you just ask your childhood. And then days later, maybe you're in the shower and in the middle of rinsing off, you realize, oh, I know where this is coming from, because your non-conscious mind now has given you images and memories that help you connect the dots to the way your limbic system is making this association. So you're having the same emotional reaction you had when you were a child.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm even kind of thinking like how you've explained before. I wonder because you do bring up the shower example a lot. That's like your example. But I'm kind of wondering like is it because you turned on the task positive network like quieting your limbic system down while you're showering? Cuz I also notice like road trips are the same thing or like doing art or crafts next to
Right.
people like it's like so much clarity.
So the way I would describe this is probably not relatable about half the audience, but way back in the day, before cell phones, we had to memorize everybody's phone number.
Totally. Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems people had is, I want to call Christina and I can't remember her phone number.
Right.
Well, what's the best way to remember the phone number?
A jingle.
The best way is to forget about it.
Oh.
The best way is just to put it aside and let it come back to you in the natural course of things.
Right. That'll
And so
still
when I
happen
use
to me. I'll like remember my whatever phone number.
it, just pops into your mind, right?
Yeah, and it's like I couldn't have thought of it an hour ago if you asked me to, but here it is.
That's right. And so
Yeah.
that's what I mean when I say the shower. That's what I'm talking about. You're just
Yeah.
going about your daily routine, and all of a sudden the information just pops into your head, and it's like an aha moment where you connect the dots.
Right. It's good. It's good actually to clarify that too, because we don't want people's skin getting dried out from over showering.
Well, that's right.
Please hydrate your skin. But it's your life. Do whatever you want.
Or I could have said eating dinner or driving to work or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just being silly. But it
I'm not
was
that
kind of interesting to
I'm
hear
not that
more why.
creative. So if
I
you
just
like this kind of material, we got a lot more coming. And Christina and I are also talking about creating a support community for people who like this. And so stay tuned for that. Some of these concepts are discussed in my books, The Dance of the Lion and the Unicorn, Mastering Thought and Awakening. Mastering Thought is a book about the voice in your head that sounds like you talking to you. And The Dance of the Lion and the Unicorn is the model we use here. You saw it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That's the model that I created to discuss what happens in relationships. And it's eerie. It's so accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Really, I will say this about The Dance of the Lion and the Unicorn. The concepts within that book will really help you see your partner for who they are and what they
right,
need. And
right,
when you can each see and accept who each other is because it's not personal,
right.
uh, how their brain is wired, then it really helps you to meet them where they need, and same for them with you, and
Mm-hmm.
actually make progress with things that would have been fights or misunderstandings or something that made you feel like you had to drive apart.
I really appreciate that endorsement. It's also an audiobook on Audible, but The Dance of the Lion and the Unicorn is not self-help. When you read this book, you will be transformed. Your understanding of your relationship and yourself will undergo a change.
Mm-hmm.
This is not 10 steps to make your partner happy or any of that kind of stuff. This
Right.
gives you a perspective you've never had before.
And that you can't have without hearing that it's a thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And 10 or 15 years after I developed this model, research finally came out that validated it.
Nice.
And in the research they found in couples, there was a system they called demand withdrawal. There was a demander and a withdrawer, a lion and a unicorn. Same dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh
Now,
man.
you have anything you want to say in summary at all?
Well, I'd like to thank Ahmed for the questions, and
Oh yeah,
really, really great place to think. It was a thinking playground for me. Um, I guess it's just nice to know that it's good to follow your passions, but not to identify as them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, if we've inspired you in any way, please make a comment, ask a question, share with us below. And really feel free to scan this QR code. It will take you to a form and you can contact us. As I say, we've got some plans we're working on right now. We'll put you on the wait list for those exciting plans. And we'll also respond to your needs. I mean, we had a free webinar. We're going to have another free webinar in about 20 days, I think, on teaching thought watching. And we had somebody in Peru, somebody in Spain, somebody in Dubai, and somebody
Yeah, that was cool.
in Bakersfield. We had them from all over the place. And we're
Hmm.
going to have another one of those. So please, scan the QR code and get on our list and contact us, and we'll include you in what's coming up.
Hmm. And I want to ask too, if you went to the last one, I would be very curious to hear about your progress with your thought watching since then.
Yes, we really don't want to just put out the information and walk away. We want to take you through the process. I mean, just this morning, I had a session with a gentleman who I would have never guessed was even remotely interested in what I was telling him to do, which was the thought watching exercise. Sure enough, he had a big breakthrough. It was amazing. Broke the lifelong pattern of anger as a result. So,
That just gave me goosebumps. Can you see? That's awesome. Wow.
yeah,
What a
yeah,
difference.
no, it's he doesn't even know how big it was. That's how natural it feels when you finally get it. But he could see his childhood and his anger and all the careers he's blown up and the way he's acted, and it all came together, and he realized, oh, I know what this is. I know where it came from. Boom.
Congratulations, sir.
All right, it's always good, Christina.
Thank you. Same with you, Mark.
And please reach out to us. We'll respond as soon as we can.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye-bye.